I like this. This was at Salon. You know my opinion of Sean Hannity. He's the worst kind of little piglet loose in American media. He's the type, he's an absolute coward, but he's the type, like I've said before, who wants to stir up chaos, death, and destruction, just like Limbaugh does, just like Beck does. This is what they want, this more than they want sex or good food. They want to see disaster. They want to see black against white, Jew against Gentile. They want to see it in this country. These are murderers by proxy. They advocate for people to go kill. They do it in a way that gives them cover. Gives them deniability. What? Me? I never did that. What's Malloy? Malloy said, I'd get people to go, oh my God, lock the bastard up. Well, here's what I say to Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck. If you're watching on video, you see my message. Anyway, Richard Eskow, writing at Salon, consider the following hypothetical scenario. A left-wing militant says he doesn't recognize the legitimacy of the sweetheart deals between the federal government and Georgia Pacific. That's a subsidiary of Koch Industries. You know, they make all the stuff you blow your nose in and wipe your butt with, right? One militant says these deals allow the Koch brothers to despoil public lands in return for a nominal fee and were produced by corrupt deal-making rather than democratic processes. Georgia Pacific, the Koch brothers, the federal government. So our left-wing militant and some friends decide to help themselves to the lumber on Georgia Pacific's trucks as they roll down publicly funded highways. Law enforcement officials ask our left-wing militant to stop, but he says he considers Georgia Pacific's agreement illegitimate and threatens an armed response if the authorities intervene. Our left-wing militant says that. Now, imagine that our militant gets significant airtime and praise from a leading host on a major cable news network that is considered close to the Democratic Party. I think you know which network I'm talking about. He's treated like a hero, even as tensions escalate and the possibility of violence becomes more real. What do you suppose the right wing, or for that matter, law enforcement officials and the general public would say about that host and his network, the ones that are giving all the airtime to this left-wing militant? What would you say? Well, here's an idea. Say it to Sean Hannity instead. Hannity's questions to Bundy and extremist Richard Mack seem designed to escalate the Bundy Ranch conflict rather than ameliorate it. No wonder Bundy calls Hannity his hero. Hannity clearly doesn't care about the criticism, so isn't it time to direct it at his network instead? After all, it is the Fox News Network's corporate and political interests that are being served by Hannity's promotion of right-wing extremist and natural resource thief Cliven Bundy. Bundy's anti-federal agenda is closely aligned with that of Charles and David Koch, major Republican donors who have been pushing for states to gain control over federal lands so that those lands can be sold or leased to people like the Koch brothers in deals that are even cushier than the ones granted to Georgia Pacific. As the Institute for Public Accuracy explains, quote, Georgia Pacific does extensive logging on public lands. Private logging on America's national forests is a heavily subsidized form of corporate welfare. Logging companies such as Georgia Pacific strip lands bare, destroy vast acreage, and pay only a small fee to the federal government in proportion to what they take. This for-profit despoiling of public property will only accelerate if the Koch brothers and their allies prevail. That's why ALEC, the American Legislative Executive Council, whatever the hell it's called, ALEC, and other Koch-funded organizations are pushing laws that would demand that federal lands be turned over to state officials. See how all this ties together? It's bad citizenship, but it's very smart business. State governments and agencies are much cheaper to purchase and control than federal ones. The greedy agenda is downplayed in Fox News coverage or of the cheerleading that is taking place through the Koch-funded Americans for Prosperity organization. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, tensions are rising. Militant extremists and anti-American groups like the Oklahoma Militia have been announcing support for Bundy. Fox News isn't deterred by escalating tensions or the risk of violence. However, its website, for example, has been promoting a blog titled Clive Bundy and the American Police State. well, of course it's a police state, you stupid sons of bitches at Fox, but we lefties have been talking about this for... This blog, entitled Clive and Bundy in the American Police State, goes on to say, quote, America is a pressure cooker with no steam valve, and things are about to blow. What we're really faced with, and what we'll see more of before long, is a growing dissatisfaction with the government and its heavy-handed tactics by people who are tired of being used and abused and are ready to say enough is enough. Now, keep in mind what all this is about. This is because Bundy's a goddamn two-bit thief. He steals. He's a liar. He's a cheat. He's a Mormon. He's a racist. He steals. God damn it, that's what this is all about. Bundy has been stealing from the U.S. Treasury, from the American people for 20 years. He's a thief. He's a goddamn cheap-ass, ignorant, racist thief. If he's not a thief, what is he? What about our left-winger who decides he's going to help himself to some of Georgia Pacific's lumber? Oh! That guy's a terrorist, right? Predictably, the combined lure of potential Koch money and melodramatic extremism has led to a steady stream of Republican politicians making pilgrimages to the site of the potential showdown. Some Republican state politicians are even talking about seceding from the Union. The Koch brothers and Fox News are apparently perfectly willing to stoke resentment in the midst of an incendiary and potentially lethal standoff out of nothing more than self-interest and ideological extremism. No kidding! Sean Hannity rarely seems to reflect on the moral implications of careless word, at least his own. Preventing Nancy Pelosi from becoming House Speaker was, said Hannity, a cause worth fighting and dying for. Not him fighting, not him dying. When the killer of church-going Unitarians was found to have Hannity's book on his shelf, Hannity showed no sign of introspection and never toned down his rhetoric. Hannity is an amoral son of a bitch who doesn't know right from wrong, up from down. I don't know how he's ever managed to be a husband and a parent. Beyond me. Totally beyond me. Now Hannity has responded to criticisms of his Bundy coverage by MSNBC's Ed Schultz and Al Sharpton by attacking them personally. No, I do the personal attacking, Hannity, not you. Sit down, shut up your little mouth, okay? He also made a cryptic comment in response to Schultz's claim that, quote, I think Sean Hannity is cheerleading for armed conflict with the federal government, end quote, which he is. Way to go, Ed. You finally came around to what's really happening. Hannity responded this way. Now, the number one thing that Ed Schultz said was true, but guess what? If I was a network exec at NBC News, I might be ashamed of having this man work for me, end quote. Oh, Sean, oh, that's so fifth grade. Oh, my God, no offense to fifth graders, but that's Sean Hannity. He's a little elementary school punk-ass bully. He wants those people to go fight. He wants those people to go die so he can sit back in his multi-million-dollar, whatever the hell he lives in, and laugh and chuckle and eat popcorn. He's a punk, a liar, and a fascist. Now, I'm not going to defend Ed Schultz. I'm just saying. I'm not going to defend the federal government police state. I'm just saying. This is not the issue. The issue here is Clive Bundy is a cheap-ass thief who wants to take, and never give back even cheesy little rental fees to graze his filthy cows on private land. We'll be right back. Turn it on. Public land. Sorry. Go ahead.